In this episode of the Music of Genesis and Yes, I'm looking at the self-titled album released by Genesis in 1983, often referred to as Shapes due to the album design. It was the band's 12th studio album and was started after an 8-month break following the Three Sides live tour. More on this in a moment, but first, if you want to be alerted when new videos are released to the channel, please press the subscribe button. The album was recorded at the Farm Studio in Surrey, with the band all arriving totally empty-handed, the songs being written and conceived via jam and improvisational sessions, which had become the norm for the band by this point. That was their writing style. The album artwork was designed by Bill Smith, who had also produced the artwork for Abacat back in 1981. The actual design was as a result of Smith's 1-year-old son, whose shaped sort of toy had left the pattern shown on the album cover from their family home living room carpet after he had gone to bed one evening. The album was released on the 3rd of October 1983 and went to number 1 for just 1 week on the 15th. It reached number 9 on the Billboard 200. 3 singles were released from it in the UK: Mama, That's All, and Illegal Alien. Home by the Sea was a release in Australia and Taking It All Too Hard in the US. The songs were characterised as shorter, more radio-friendly compositions, with nearly all traces of their prog rock roots having disappeared. Mama opened proceedings and was conceived as a result of Mike Rutherford experimenting with a Linn drum machine. Collins got the idea for the singing style from John Lennon's version of Bebopaloola, and that demonic laugh as a result of listening to The Message by Grandmaster Flash. The lyrics are about a young man who is obsessed with a prostitute and has an Oedipal fixation on her, and is based on the book called The Moon's a Balloon by the actor David Niven. Now, this single reached number 4 in the UK, with a less impressive 73 in the US. That's All has the Beatles to thank for its origin, as Tony Banks wanted to write just a simple melody in the style of the Fab Four, with Collins poised to create a drum pattern to imitate the style of his hero Ringo Starr. It's a light poppy song and was a welcome cleanser after the intensity of Mama, and reflects on the failing relationship no matter what Collins attempts. It reached number 16 in the UK and an impressive number 6 in the US, giving the band their first top 10 hit. Side 1 ends with Home by the Sea and second Home by the Sea. It's about a burglar who breaks into a deserted old folks' home and gets trapped and forced to listen to the ghosts haunting the building, telling their life stories over and over. Once again designed from the Linn, both Rutherford and Banks composed the outlines for this tune. Collins joined in with a loose melody using the phrase Home by the Sea, which he'd been muttering throughout the day. Tony Banks ran with the phrase, and between them the story was completed. Second Home by the Sea followed on as a mainly instrumental piece, again the result of a jam session. Collins played the drums and the 2 others contributed bits as it all went along to try and create the story of the ghosts. It all ends with a reprise of the first section. Released in Australia, it reached number 80, but it went to number 4 in New Zealand. Now, side 2 starts with the Illegal Alien by Mike Rutherford. This is very much a tongue-in-cheek song about the plight of the Mexicans trying to get across the borders into the United States. In 1983, the song was considered to be light-hearted, but in today's PC world, it might not have been written, but in effect, it was really about the trouble the band had trying to get visas to get back into the country. It's a light bubblegum pop record that was meant to be a bit of fun in all honesty, but ended up having sections edited out as being unsuitable. It seemed to create more fuss than was necessary, in my opinion, with Blender rating it the 13th worst song of all time in 2006, as Scott Phil from Wired describing it as misguided. It reached 46 in the UK and 44 in the US, and best I can say is that it was a track written for the time in 1983. Taking It All to Heart was a US-only single released, and was a track that had no video to accompany it. That being said, it did reach number 50 on the Hot 100, and was a song that was never performed live by the band, believe it or not. Let me know in the comments if you know of any other tracks never performed live by any of the versions of the band. The silky smooth vocals delivered by Collins on this one led Cashbox to predict that it was likely to be another mega hit. However, they appeared to be a little wide of the mark this time around. Just a Job to Do was a busy little track with a series of quite explosive markers dotted through the track to represent gunshots. It does have an interesting storyline to it, as it's about a chase involving a private investigator or a hired gun who is pursuing someone who has done something wrong in the middle of the night and warns him that the more he runs, the more he will fall. Silver Rainbow is a love song written by Tony Banks about people being so senselessly in love they are unaware of their surroundings. During writing, the working name for this song was called Adam, as Collins believed it resembled something Adam Ant might have created. Where on earth that analogy came from, I shudder to think. But it was symptomatic of the new audience that the band could now appeal to. It's Gonna Get Better ends the album and was written by Mike Rutherford. The opening and closing to this track were created by Banks, who sampled an album of classical cello music to develop that interweaving string sound. The bass is huge on this one, and it trundles along with a strong beat from Collins. It's a song of hope, of perseverance, to get a better life and not to settle for what you have. It's a decent ending to the album. Now, the album was undoubtedly a commercial success, becoming the group's third straight #1 in the UK. Lead single Mama reached the band's highest position in the UK charts, whilst That's All was the band's highest US singles position. There was very little, if any, progressive rock element to this album, and that was a disappointment to many of the established fans. But it fitted in well with the 80s rock and is undoubtedly pleasing on the ear. Look, we need to forget that it isn't prog rock, and on that respect, this was a decent album, which I always enjoy listening to. So there you are. These are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments section below. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And to buy the album or help the channel out further, see details in the description box within this video. Until next time, I'll see you all later.